Dale Guidry, President and CEO of TMEIC. Nice to see you at this Steel Survival Strategies Conference.
Nice to be here.
You're focused on really innovation and changing the manufacturing process in a number of industries. How is digitization and the move to things you would have never thought of years ago, like virtual reality, changing factories as we know it?
Oh, it's changing us tremendously, increasing the efficiency of the factories, but at the same time we have to be aware that it's very important the people that work in the factories. And so some of the techniques you can use with the data collection and simulations and training will improve not only the factory, but what the workers do in the factory, make them better at what they do, make them more efficient, help them learn new skills.
How difficult is it to make transitions? When you look at some of the steel plants in the US, these are plants that have been in existence for a while. How difficult is it to transition older technology and an older center into something very new?
Well, it can be quite difficult depending upon the age of the equipment, but the techniques that we employ allow us to do it in a phased way. So we don't have to make the change all at once. We can do steps at a time, and it may take a longer period of time to do that and gain the benefit. But usually in the mills in the US, at least the older mills, it usually can be done as a phased operation.
So give me an example of the kind of changes that you can do when you go in and implement that then change the day-to-day lives of some of these workers and the plant itself.
Well, of course, some of the upgrade involves new equipment, drives, motors, that type of thing, which is big and difficult to do, but is actually the easier part. What you have to do is put in more sensors, the right types of sensors, networks, digital networks, computers, all those types of things. And then once you have that in place, you have to collect that data. And the data is the key. So you can collect the data in that mill, but with our operation, the experience we have over the many years we've been doing this, we can use that with the data of that mill and our own data to best decide how to operate that mill. And then ultimately, if it's a steel company that has multiple mills, you can tie the data from all the mills together and look at that across all of the operations and help the entire corporation.
And how technologically advanced are some of the operations outside of the US? Do we actually see internationally a step ahead of the US on technology?
Actually, for years outside the US, the technology has been increasing much faster. For years, I've been, for example, going to China. And we do have many steel mills we've done in China in terms of our technology. And for a long, long time, they were buying the best they could get. So the technology in some of those mills is actually much better than the technology in a lot of the mills in the US, simply because the US has not kept up.
So is the US at a disadvantage? And of course there are other reasons why domestic steel producers struggle compared to some competitors, but is technology putting them at a disadvantage?
Well, in some cases it is technologies. Obviously the steel companies in the US have developed new types of steel that meet the market needs, but in terms of the controlling of their operations and really mining of the data that's available in those mills, they've fallen behind to a certain degree. Now, that's not true across all the companies in the US, obviously. There are some that are forward thinking and do what they can to do that and avail themselves of not only what we do, but what other companies do in this area as well.
What's the biggest challenge when you have a client and you want to change operations and introduce some of that additional technology? What is the pushback that you might get?
A lot of times the pushback is simply from a state of not understanding what can be gained by collecting this data and analyzing the data. Of course, many of the people hear about Internet of Things and Factory 4.0 and all those types of things, but to them it's a abstract thought. It's not really understanding what that means and what that can bring to them. And in some cases, what you see in the literature and what you see from others out in the press sounds very abstract. So the big thing for us is make it concrete, point out to them concrete results that they can really get out of this. Yes, there is a benefit to putting this high-tech thing in their operation.
Dale Guidry, it's been great chatting with you. Thank you.
Thank you.